What's up guys, it is Joe from HOG, and today we're going to showcase for you some bodyweight core workouts. The cool thing about this is you can do it right in your own house. This does not require a gym, this does not require equipment, this just requires a little bit of willpower and some grit. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I got my mat here. Here we go. First movement, we're going to do a reverse crunch. What this looks like, you're going to go palms flat on the ground. You're going to bring your feet up at a 90, okay? You can be here if you have to be, but you really want this extended out over. You're gonna draw your core down, tighten it up, lower back on the ground, okay? You do not want this to be arched, okay? You don't want this to be, I should not be able to put my hand under here, okay? So back down, palms flat, and you're simply going to raise your butt off the ground while maintaining this 90 degrees. It's going to look like this. Now, a couple things that I like to do to incorporate into this movement is when you come down, you can fully extend your feet. Fully extend, back up into the movement. All that does is add one more element of control to the movement, and overall it's going to make you stronger. When you go to do your reverse crunch, this can be a very difficult movement when trying to maintain this 90 degrees, okay? If you need some additional help with this, what you can do is bring your feet all the way up. Now, I like to straighten my legs with every movement that I do, but if you are slightly bent, that is fine. You can still achieve this movement. Now, this movement is the same movement. It's just called heels to heaven, and all you're going to do is push your feet to the sky, okay? So it's going to look like this. Okay, now the only thing with this movement is you're going to be tempted to come down and use the momentum to swing up. Okay, that's when the movement becomes irrelevant, which is why I like to use this movement. Okay, so what you want to do when you go up and you come back, you do not want to let your feet swing down. Engage your core and stop them from moving forward. Hold them from swinging forward. Keep them in position and go right up into your next rep. Second movement, here we go. This is a simple flutter kick / hollow hold movement. What I like to do for this, again, lay down on your back, no gap underneath, extend your feet out in front of you, okay? And you want to pick your feet up off the floor. It doesn't have to be ridiculous. And you're just gonna come in here and kick back and forth. Now don't flop them around. Control each movement, each time up and down. Straighten your legs. This isn't like this, okay? Straight legs. Point your toes if you can, and you're simply gonna go back and forth, okay? Now, when you get to 20 of those, what I do is I usually go into a hollow hold at the very end of it to kind of get a burnout. Two ways you can do this. Again, you can bring your feet here, slightly up, and you're just gonna hold it. If you want to make this even harder, extend your feet, take your arms, place them above your head, like this. That will make your hollow hold even more difficult and add another dimension of core work to the regimen. Time for the third and final movement of this round. What I'm gonna do, again, simply lay back. You already know the drill. Again, lower back flat on the ground. This time we're gonna perform a sit-up. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna roll up, and as I come up, I'm gonna keep my arms parallel to the ground, okay? I'm not reaching here, and I'm not just keeping them on the ground. I'm staying right here. And when I come up, as I come up, I'm gonna slowly raise one of the legs to start, and then the next time up, we're gonna alternate. So it's gonna look like this. And you just want to reach as far as you can. You want to have a very tight core throughout all of these movements. It is essential that you have a tight core, because the more you flex that muscle, the more work you're going to put into it. This is going to be very hard and difficult at first. Every time you go into one of these movements, you're going to want to make sure you do them as crisply as possible. Okay? If you have to cheat the movement, then lower your reps. Don't sacrifice number of reps over quality, okay? Get good quality reps. Don't cheat yourself by cheating the movement.
Alright guys, so we are going to add a few more workouts to our original 3 in order to encompass the entire core and all of its movements that it can perform. For our 4th movement, we are doing just basic leg raises. This is like the basic of the basics, so we got to add this one in, of course. So you start like this, back flat on the ground. You don't want this coming up. So even if you can't go all the way to the floor with your feet, you want to have your back flat on the ground. So you just start like this, and you just bring your legs straight up. You know, if they bend a little, that's fine. Try to keep them straight though. Just really control it all the way up. Put your hands back here if you want. Bicycle crunches. This is a very simple ab exercise that pretty much hits a little bit of everything. So what you do is you start in this position, make sure your back is flat on the floor, and you want to crunch up, touch your elbow to your knee, leave the other leg straight, go back down, do the same on the other side. You want to try to get at least 20 reps of this, 10 per side. This will work the upper and lower core, as it's a spinal flexion, and it will also work your hip flexors a little bit because you're bringing your legs up. Planks. So basically you just start in this position, elbows on the floor, about shoulder width apart, and you can just, do whatever you want with your hands. They can be flat on the floor, or, you can hold your hands. And then you just get up in this position where you're just on your feet and your elbows. And you really want to make sure that you're not sagging your back like this. You want to keep it up all the time. I would recommend working these in almost every day. You want to jump straight into a side plank, which is where you're just resting on this elbow and your feet. You want to try to get your body as straight as you can and just really hold this tight, like try to hold your stomach in. And you hold this for, I don't know, about 30, 45 seconds, whatever you can manage. And then you immediately flip over and go to the other side. But yeah, just body straight, keep keep everything tight, you want to keep your glutes tight, you want to keep your legs tight. This also applies to the regular planks. You always want to keep your core tight, your glutes tight, your legs tight. Everything needs to be tight to really perform this movement correctly.
All right, so that concludes the inside portion of all the core workouts that you can do right in your own house with no equipment. So you now have no excuses as to why you have a weak core. All right, guys, we're out here in the gym. We're getting ready to rock. We're gonna do the core movements that require a little bit more equipment. Now, you might be thinking, you need to do all the other inside core movements and then you can do these movements. That's not true at all. We do those inside core movements just as much, if not more, than the movements we are about to show you. It just does not require any equipment, obviously, because we can just do them right inside the house. If you have a luxury of a gym, you can come out and start upping your game a little bit more, because some of these movements are definitely more advanced and require a lot more core strength. So let's get right into it. You know what this is, the ab wheel, okay? So this is the first movement we're gonna do. It's pretty straightforward, but I see a lot of people cheat this movement because they don't have the core strength to do it properly. So what you wanna do is you wanna get out here like this. You almost wanna arch your back and drop down, okay? This is gonna take a little bit of lat strength as well. You're gonna come down, back up. Your nose should touch the ground, okay? And there should be no sagging. Notice the arch in my back did not change from the top to the bottom. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to show you what bad form looks like. Okay, I was still able to do the movement, but my back was bowed. Okay, you have to tighten your core and be in a hollow body position all the way through the movement. Now this next movement we're going to do is a little bit more advanced and a little bit more harder. This is the same thing as the ab wheel, except now you're not hanging on to one pinnacle, okay, one point. You're spreading your hands out, which makes it a harder movement because your body weight is distributed a little bit more. So just get a barbell, throw some 45s on it, place your hands slightly wider than shoulder width, whatever is comfortable, and it's going to be the exact same movement. Now obviously when you go to the ground with this, you're not necessarily going to be able to get as low as the ab wheel, but you should still be very, very parallel to the ground. Okay, straight back the whole time, no sagging, no doing this, no bowed back, all the way down.
All right, so we're moving on to a more advanced core workout called dragon flags. And there are two different variations of this. I'll show you both of them. They can be done on, we use an ab board, but you can use a bench or you can get two really heavy dumbbells and use those. But I'll show you how this goes. In the first version, you just hold on to the bench like this. And you want to keep your body in a straight line. Make sure your lower back is on the bench, and you're going to use your arms and just kind of pull yourself up while keeping your back straight and your legs straight. You want your whole body in a straight line all the way up. And lower it back down. Alright, so that's the first version. So the second variation of dragon flags, you're going to use a bar that's above you like this. Now you can do this on like a bench press machine or a Smith machine that has a bar above you. If you use a bench press, you'd have to add a lot of weight to the bar. Otherwise, obviously it's going to move when you push on it. So basically, you just hold on and you lever yourself up with your arms. This one is definitely a little bit harder than the other version, but with a little bit of practice, you should be able to get it. All right, so if you need help with the progression towards this particular movement, you can actually start with butt ups, which we already went over. That's where you just, bring your butt up, and you can go a little higher though when you're holding onto a bar or the back of a bench. Second progression would be a one leg. Bring one knee up and just do a dragon flag with the other leg extended. And alternate sides each rep. And then of course the last progression would be just the dragon flag itself.
Moving on to the next exercise, what you're going to want to do is get set on the parallel bars with your feet straight down. You're going to tighten your core, raise your knee to your chest as high as possible, and then you are going to alternate legs. So it looks like this. Straight body, bring your knee up, boom, right there. Right there you're going to feel that compression. So one thing about this movement is you want to compress your core. When you're coming up, you have to squeeze at your core because there's a lot of movement here with a little bit of work at the top. So you have to be sure you're doing the movement correctly. The second movement that we can do on the parallel bars is a simple knee up. So you're gonna come here, you're gonna bring your knees parallel. So you're gonna start at a 90 here and you're simply gonna bring them up. Back down, up, down, up, down, up. Now, it is very important that when you are up on these parallel bars, you keep your body straight and you keep your shoulders pushed out like this. You do not want to become slumped like this and do the movement, okay? Because you're simply going to cheat the movement and it's not going to work. You also do not want to use momentum. If you are doing any kind of leg raises, whether it's full leg raises or knee ups, this is what you want to avoid. Okay, a lot of people do this, and a lot of people have weak core, so don't be that person.
All right, so knee ups can also be done in the hanging position. Basically the same movement, except obviously you're hanging. And then you can also go into doing straight leg raises from this position. In my opinion, it's a little bit easier to do them hanging than it is to do them on the parallel bars, because on the parallel bars, you're relying a lot on your shoulders to keep your body in the right position. hanging, you don't have to rely on that quite as much. All right, so one thing you want to keep in mind is that you do not, again, like he said, you do not want to be swinging when you do these movements. Anybody can do leg raises where they're using momentum, you know, like that. You want to do a nice, slow raise, and maybe even hold at the top a little bit.
The next movement we're doing is called mountain climbers. This is a pretty popular movement, but again, it's often done incorrectly. So with this movement, you can do it palms on the floor, or you can grab two handles to elevate you off the ground, and it allows you to tuck your knees a little bit farther, engaging your core a little bit more. So for this example, we are going to use 6-inch handles. You're gonna come up here like this, go into a plank position. Now, what you see a lot of people do in this position is do this. The problem is that movement is only working endurance and conditioning, if that, depending on how long they do it. You're not really working your core at all. So what you want to do to engage your core, assume the same position, except this time, bring your knees to your chest. Think about hitting yourself in the face with your knees. So it's going to be like this. Okay? All the way through. Now, speed is not the key with this. Just maintain a simple pace and get your knees all the way up and through. Also remember to lean forward a little bit, okay? You don't want to be leaning back on these. You don't want to be back here trying to do this, okay? You want to be forward, and you want to come through with your knees. Again. After about 20 repetitions of this movement, you will start to feel it in your core. It's going to be working that compression, which is bringing your knees to your chest. It's a very good movement, and I think you'll be happy with the results. All right, guys, that concludes our core tutorial. We covered a variety of different movements that you can do inside, movements that you can do outside. Both inside and outside require little to no equipment, guys. All this work is done with pretty basic equipment or nothing at all. You just have to get out here and do the reps. There's no secret to this, okay? Put the reps in and you guys will start seeing an increase in your core strength. There are very small muscles. Your core is made up of very small muscles, and you have to be consistent with this. If you are consistent, you will start to notice a difference week to week to week. This isn't gonna happen overnight. You just have to stay consistent and you will see the results on the back end of that. That's it. We'll see you on the other side. Remember, let's crush goals every single day. That's what we're here for. Welcome to the grind.